Let's talk about what type of properties can a self-managed super fund purchase. A question we get a lot of. We find that a lot of our clients are feeling a bit exotic when it comes to selecting a property for their self-managed super fund, and we end up having very interesting conversations about very interesting properties. If a super fund is not borrowing any money to purchase a property, there is virtually no restriction as to what type of property can be acquired. It could be a block of land, could be a house, a townhouse, an apartment, student accommodation, serviced apartment. It could be a commercial property, a factory, a brewery we've had, boarding house, you name it, a shop, an office, perfectly fine. Okay, so as long as there's an investment logic behind the purchase and the super fund is not borrowing any money, you'll find that you have virtually no restriction. It could be in Australia, it could be overseas, no problem. So that's great. If you've got a self-managed super fund, or you're looking at setting up a self-managed super fund which is cashed up and you're not intending to borrow, this is very, very simple. You can pretty much buy anything you want, anywhere you want. If you're going to need to borrow money, which is the case for most people to purchase the property, there's a few things that you want to take out of that list of any property you can purchase. The first one and the easy one is international property. It's virtually impossible to set up a compliant limited recourse borrowing arrangement for an overseas property. So if you have cash, fantastic. If you need to borrow money, forget Phuket, forget the US, forget Vietnam, you can't do it. The other type of property that you want to rule out de facto is land. There is not one lender out there where it's going to lend money to a self-managed super fund to purchase a block of land. That's just not going to happen. So if you need to borrow, land is a no-goer. Other things which are going to be extremely difficult to secure funding for are going to be student accommodation. It has many problems for SMSF lenders. The size of them, the value of them, the fact that they're generally located in very high density areas or very high density buildings, the fact that there's a lease back to the person running the student accommodation. For a number of reasons, student accommodation are virtually impossible to fund through a self-managed super fund. And in that category would also fit serviced apartments, marginally better, but also extremely difficult to get any lending, and when it is possible, it is at a much lower loan-to-value ratio than people would like. So student accommodation and serviced apartments, not so good. You also have restrictions around really big properties. So if you're looking at rural properties, if it is a property which is generating an income from an agricultural activity, no problem. If it's just a big hobby farm, it's going to be very, very complicated. So buyer, be very aware of those type of properties. We get a lot of inquiries again around rural and farms and hobby farms and big plots of land, and this is very, very complicated to finance. These are your main consideration. There is a strategy which may help some people around those specific assets. What if you really want to buy that student accommodation and you don't have the cash in the super? There is one thing which is called related party lending. You can become the lender for your self-managed super fund, and in doing so, bypass the limitations that the lender impose on some of those securities. That's a topic that we'll cover in another video, but related party lending could be your solution.